Okay, so I am getting ready to glaze a pot with an overhead handle. This is going to be fun. I'm using a beautiful yellow matte glaze for the liner glaze, and it's going to be the lid, the handle, and the rim of the pot. And then I'm going to have a beautiful stony matte green glaze on the lower half. So here we go. I've got it nicely stirred up. I'm going to pour some glaze to the inside. Now, every glaze, you have to know the personality of each glaze. No two glazes are the same. And so I know that the way I like this glaze is on fairly thick, and it'll give me a really bright yellow. Do you see how I poured that fluid out so it's not hitting the lid? I can even go, when it's a little bit, out the spout. Now, I have a little drip on this rim, but I'm gonna take it off because I don't want that drip to show later. I see some holes inside, because this is one of the teapots where I demonstrated the holes, so I'm gonna take my little straw scrubber and make sure none of those are filled up. And then I'm going to dip this pot upside down in this glaze. And I'm probably going to get glaze on that spout, but then I'm going to take it off. So I'm going to dip right up to the edge right here. A lot of times people don't realize that you can remove glaze from your pot. It just sort of commits you to 2 days of glazing. So I'm nicely around this pot, all the way around. I'm holding it in there because I know this glaze is mixed pretty thin at about 142, and I want a nice thick coat on this pot and on that overhead handle. I don't want any pooling lines. I have this glaze really fixed up nicely. You know, I think I will leave this on the spout and let there be a little overlap right in here. But I'm going to take it off the tip so it pours well. All right. Now, I need to glaze the lid. And do you remember that I held it in the bucket quite a while? So I'm going to do the same with the lid. I've got a hold of it, and in I go. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 1,006. There's some glazes I could never stay in the bucket that long, but I know I can with this one. Now I'm going to wipe it off the rim while it's still wet because I can. I'm holding on to a waxed area. It makes it really easy for me to handle it. I'm going to go ahead and remove glaze from the flange and the inset part. And you have to clean every bit of that glaze off, because if you don't, it's going to melt and fuse your lid to your teapot. And that is the most sad thing. All right, clean this edge really nice, like that. And here is my little straw cleaner. And I'm just going to take it from the inside and go down in that little air hole and just be sure to clean it out nicely. And now you can see I have a great coat of glaze on my pot, on my lid here. I have a beautiful inside. No glaze to fuse this thing on. Now I need to clean the galley of the pot. So I'm going to clean out this sponge and just sit in the galley right there and take off glaze. If I accidentally take a little off on the rim, I'll just touch it up with my finger. So I know I want this glaze to go right to the edge where the inset lid goes in. And you'll notice that the way I make my lids, you're going to see a little bit of space between the lid and the pot. Do you see that? So I am certain that they're not going to glaze together. Isn't that wonderful? Now, I took the glaze off of the spout, and you can tell that it's really wet there. So I'm just going to touch it with just the least little bit now, which will actually give it a nice skin, but at the same time will cut off the flow beautifully. Oh, I'm pleased with this. Somewhere right down here, I have a little bit of a drip. This doesn't matter with all glazes. It really won't matter with this one, but I'm going to show you how I took a second and cleaned it up. Just because some glazes, it would really matter. So there's day one of what I'm doing to this pot. This is going to be a beautiful yellow, and down here is going to be stony green. And I'm actually going to spray just a mist of yellow down in here to kind of create depth in this lower half glaze. Okay, so that's the first step of glazing that teapot.